Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. Looks like we got a little rally on our hands, folks, or at least the correction. Maybe it's over. New month, new market, new us. So we'll talk about whether the bottom is in here in the market. Busy day for earnings. Something like 250 companies are reporting today. A lot of the big ones are after the bell today. But we have Apple, we have Starbucks, we have Weight Watchers, Kraft Heinz, we have Shake Shack, but we had some big ones this morning and yesterday. So we'll talk about those as well, and the earnings will sort of dictate today's show. Joel, help us out here with the S&Ps. What's going on?
Green on the screen here, up 12 and a quarter, 27, 23 and a quarter. That late day sell-off, that ended at the 6 p.m. open. We opened 27.06, 05 and a half low, and the buyers came in off some of these decent earnings report. Pre-market high, 27, 27 and a quarter. Now, that's a cool 10 handles off yesterday's high at 37 and a quarter. And I'm just looking for kind of maybe another inside day here. That would really have to be a tight range on the upside. But we got the jobs number tomorrow. So I just think you're going to see some position squaring ahead of that report. On the downside, let's use the close. 0575 is, or excuse me, 2711 was the close. That's a potential area of support. And yesterday's interday low down at 2704. Crude under $65 here, trading down 32 cents at 64.99. Crude's been pretty volatile lately here, but took out that 66 support. Now trying to find a new support level. Gold up 1270 here at 1227.70, still holding above that 1220 breakout area. Silver, I don't think moves anymore. It's up 17 cents at 14.46. Bitcoin, that's up $10 at 63.05. Triple D, how are you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good, actually. You know what I did last night?
You started buying the spiders off the hop.
I slept.
You did?
Slept last night. Yeah, I even slept in today. I've been sleeping like 4 or 5 hours, I feel like, all these nights here because with so much trading action. So actually last night I slept.
Did you have dinner?
You know what? It's weird to feel like I think I slept. Well, I was up a couple times because baby got up. I was up around probably 2 and up at 5, but really I probably slept like 10 hours. I haven't done that in a long time.
Did you trade?
So I should be rested and awake, and I actually feel like that I've overslept here now. I actually feel more tired than normal. Well, is this how you feel when you sleep?
Maybe.
Yes, it is.
Maybe.
More tired than normal.
Maybe you won't be as grumpy as you were yesterday. You were arguing with me on just.
No, you were arguing with me, Joel.
Look at that! I say I'm arguing with you, and then you tell me I'm arguing. See, you're arguing. You're so argumentative. So, yeah. Oh,
yes, Texas. I know we do have Halloween in Canada, and yes, I did take off early last night and took my kids trick or treating there. So. And then I actually went to bed after that. So all I can't, maybe I went to a candy coma. Maybe that was it. Because I ate like 4 or 5 of those little mini chocolate bars, which is probably more than I ate in a year of mini chocolate bars. And maybe I went into like a candy coma. Maybe that's what that was. I never even thought about that. Thanks, Texas Linda. That's what it was. It was all that sugar I ate.
And you guys give out Cadbury candy bars, correct?
Why is Cadbury in Canada?
Yeah, I was associated. Carmelo and all those
little Reese's peanut butter cups, the little ones. Although they're smaller than they used to be, and I keep complaining about product sizing. They say we don't have inflation, but the product keeps getting smaller. Those little mini Reese's peanut butter cups, those used to be like a 2-biter. They're not even like 1-biters now. Like they're so small. Everything got smaller
and more expensive.
No, you got bigger. That's what it is.
Is that what happened? I just got bigger. You don't think the little mini Reese's peanut butter cups got smaller? I think they got smaller. I'm pretty sure they got smaller. Anyways, that's it for a discussion another day. We have a 3-day market rally on our hands here, folks. This is an impressive move here. Once again, it gave a little bit back there at near the close yesterday. Yeah. But you know what? We've established, buyers beneath here now. So now we don't only have an overhead supply issue, we have an underneath demand issue too. So as we pull back, and if we were to pull back, I think you find buyers here now as well. So I don't know if we're completely out of the woods, but there's some light here shining all of a sudden. And you know what? I'm kind of depressed about that because I've raised a lot of cash. I've raised it at a higher level, but I would like to put some of that cash to work. I hope I'm going to get another chance, but we will see. Joel, what's your thoughts here? S&P. Let's talk tax.
Do you say tax or
tax, like as in technicals?
We're just we're going to go up to 27.75 first. I think that would be a 50% retracement of that entire move. So that's a clear 50 handles away on the upside. Spinner makes a good point. We have Apple tomorrow, big number. So goes Apple, so goes the market. And if you're going to that for like relative strength, this puppy's held on really well. You made that all-time high at 33.47, 233.47. You had that dip, but here you are. I mean, right back over right at 220. I mean, that's a big strength, a good report out of Apple. That's going to help the markets. So, I'm looking at that on the upside. And then on a pullback here, man, it just doesn't seem like you're ever going to get below 2,700 is not that far away. But, if we can climb back under 2,700, maybe 2,680, 2,690, if we do get that pullback here, maybe be looking for a little bit more of a swing trade to the long side.
Let's just look at, breaking it down here. I'm seeing a little bit of a repeat here because the Qs aren't trading up very much, and you're seeing a lot of the tech stocks trade significantly higher here in the pre-market. It almost feels like a little bit of washout the other way maybe this morning, where we had the washout 3 days ago to the bottom side. I wonder if we're not going to buy these things. I'm going to open a lot of them at the highs here today. Amazon up 26 points here, but Qs are only up 0.3%. You can look, all of them, Facebook trading higher significantly. Apple's going to report after the bell. It's trading up. Everything is up more than the Qs. That's concerning. So I'm not seeing, the Qs really keep, obviously the Qs got to play a little catch-up game here, or, maybe some of the smaller components aren't going to rally as much, or, some of these tech stocks, maybe it's a little bit more built on air here, this little follow-through rally than, it has been the last couple of days.
And if you're looking for specific points on some of your stocks, big declines, see how much they're rebounding, off their high to the recent low. A good area, is a 50% retracement. You have a stock like AMD that's nowhere near that, whereas Apple's probably a little bit above it. But just take a look at that just for a gauge. And then if there's like a daily high or a pair of highs in that area, that'll be a good potential area of resistance. So just keep an eye on that. If your stock is rebounded and how close it is to taking back half of that move.
Let's talk interest rates here just for a minute. Like you said, we're going to get the jobs number tomorrow, but TLT is getting a little bit hit here again this morning. And we had a couple days where the TLT was doing okay. We've had a ridiculous rally really in a lot of the defensive names. I know 3-4 days ago, the XLU was really taking off, but even the individual utility stocks before, this last 3-day rally were showing a lot of, life where money was flying into wherever it could find defense. But think about this. The environment for these stocks is still not good. You've got interest rates climbing, TLT going down. A lot of that money that was flying into a safer home, I think, is potentially going to be flying out of it, especially if the market starts to stabilize. Even stocks like Procter and Gamble, components in your XLP. I mean, look at Coca-Cola the last 3-4 days breaking out to new highs. Yeah, you can say that's a classic breakout, but it's more of a defense trade. And I think if you start to see the TLT continue to roll down, some of these dividend names, some of these, utility stocks that have found a nice little rally for safety could start to show some weakness there because the environment, the fundamental environment, the macro environment for them still is not that great.
No, and I can know who pointed out, one of my Twitter followers, that this was going back a few days ago. The XLU I finally gave in, and this was like 4 days ago. And I just, I tweeted back, relative to the TLT, these utilities had just been bucking the trend. And then I think they played that day that he mentioned, they just started to play some catch up here. So, hot jobs number, higher interest rates, not good traditionally for utilities. TLT indicating a hot number right now as we speak here for tomorrow. So, there you go. I mean, the utilities, you can hide out with the dividend, but, when you're getting killed on your principal, sometimes it can wipe out those dividends and much, much more.
I think I'm a seller of all rallies in the XLU and all these defensive names. This has been a gift, I believe, because, and especially let's look at stocks. And I don't know what's happened with Verizon, but it's just blasted off. AT&T's bounced back from the lows. I think this is where, if I was looking to sell stuff, even if the market starts to turn south, I mean, how much upside is really in this defensive stuff? Like if you're sticking the stuff and saying, well, this is where the market's going to be for the next year, I don't think so. We're just not the environment indicative. Unless the only way is unless we're really going into a crisis here, where this is the bounce and this is before we're going into a major crisis. It's the only way that these stocks, the XLU and all the utility stocks and the XLP components, I think hold up, because it's just the rising interest rate environment is not good. TLT sitting at the lows is usually mean XLU is sitting at the lows, and also XLP, which is a lot of your consumer staples, sitting at the lows, and that has not happened for the sole reason that money is playing defense, and money may start playing defense here eventually.
You took out a very important monthly support level at the $116 area in the TLT, and it's been rough sledding. That area basically it held since July of 2015. So if you're just trading it technically, you had to break down of a monthly, and I'm still kicking myself because I know we talked about it on the show. Bring up the XHB monthly here. You had that $38 level, 38. These are all monthly lows, right? All at 38.5. Last September it held up, but boom, the high in October was 38.70. And boom, you went down to 31.82. So sometimes those monthly levels, even though they might be a few ticks apart, can give you a really good indication. At least in the XHB, it did.
I mean, those charts look okay because you're starting to break the downtrends there. But I just, sometimes, and this is why I always say, if you're just a technical trader, I think you miss a lot. I think you have to have more than one hat on. Maybe there's some great guys that just use technicals, but I've always, used multiple things. I use technicals, but I use other things. What's the reason behind, these rallies here? Is it, that we've got, good, turning it around, the stories are turning around? Or is it just the market playing defense? And I think it's just the market playing defense. And that's not a good sound rally in my books. And, I know longer term that there's a high correlation between the TLT and, some of these interest rate names. And not only that, the home builders as well. So you've seen a nice wicked rally here in Toll Brothers, for instance, TOL. Go back, it made a nice triple bottom at $28, $28.50. It's up 34 5 days later. You know what? I think if I was in this, I'd be ringing the register, getting close to probably a 50% retracement. It's had a nice move. And the main reason for that is, when you see the market start selling off, you start thinking, well, the Fed might not be quite as hawkish here going forward if the market continues to sell off. And that's going to be good for home builders, because we know ground zero for home builders has been the rising interest rates. People aren't building new homes when rates are going higher. So, but if we think that the market's going to recover and interest rates, then the Fed is going to remain hawkish, and that's not good news for stocks like Toll Brothers. So I think you've been given a gift here on some of these home builders. I think you've been given a gift on some of this interest rate sensitive stuff, and that's all I'll say about it, because I've been 15 minutes talking it, and we should move on to some of the stocks.
Well, I just want to say one other thing too that is overhang over the market, and it's pointed out here by Rocket 1530 and Texas Luna and Hunter 69 here. A little people nervous about that election on Tuesday. I mean, it's Dennis, we have an election here on Tuesday. It's the midterms here. And, who knows what's going to happen with the House, the Democrats, Republicans. I mean, I don't base any trading decisions on the outcome of elections, but there's definitely some nervousness in the market about that outcome. Spencer, did you want to add something?
I was just doing some research yesterday. I was looking at the S&P, the movement in the SPY, the week of midterm elections. I went back 30 years, and The most the SPY had ever moved, it was a 3% gain during the week of the midterms in 2010, when the Democrats lost the House of Representatives, and that was the only change. Typically, the SPY doesn't move too much the week of midterm elections. Average move, I think, was less than 1% for the week. So,
did you put that in an article? Did you do that? Did we put any of that stuff in the article?
No,
We should do that
I just
today.
looked it up.
Okay.
So.
Let's jump over some of your earnings parade from last night. There was some interesting stocks reporting, more interesting stocks reporting here this morning. But where do you want to go? We'll let Mr. Spencer Israel lead the way.
Oh no, you're gonna let me lead the way?
Yeah, you
right.
like leading the way. Let's
All
lead
right.
the way.
You're a producer. I mean, if you don't want to, got to step up.
He's all over this.
Let's look at. You want to look at Fitbit first? I don't have.
Let's do it.
All
I
right.
haven't talked Fitbit in
Yeah,
a
we
long
haven't
time.
talked
What's it
Fitbit in a
doing?
while.
It's up.
Yeah,
It's up.
oh
Look
my
at this.
gosh, look at Fitbit.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to start this. So 4-cent beat versus a 1 cent, 4-cent gain versus a 1 cent loss estimate. So a 5-cent beat there. Sales of $393 versus $380 million, and they reaffirmed their guidance of about $1.5 billion for the fiscal year sales.
A one-trick pony. Every time it's rallied, it's been a selling opportunity. It's not much of a rally. It's up 11%. I mean, you're still, but this thing is 556. All kinds of overhead supply here. I'm not buying it.
No, you're chasing it here a little bit. Easy numbers on this one. 540 is your pre-market high, and then you got a couple highs just sticking out here at 540 and 542. Also a nice number like 550. So 560, it's a breakout, maybe run towards $6, but you are opening into resistance here. Is there any volume associated with this thing? I mean, there's no it's value and no value in weak tech. Hey, 500,000, 438,000 shares.
Trade some volume.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's trade some volume.
I mean, if I had owned it, I'd like maybe try and, can we even get it on a pullback here? Like, what's the high from yesterday?
But if it starts pulling back, it makes me think it's going to give it all back. I mean, it's one that's so notorious for, we've seen this before. Fitbit gets like a 2-day rally going, and then you look at it 3 days later, it's giving it all back. I mean, we're pretty much every time, this thing rallies, after a few, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. We had a pretty wicked rally back in June when it went from 550 up to 750. But if you looked at it back in July, so 1 month later, it gave it all back. I mean, every single time it's rallied, it's given it all back. And the last time I looked, they're still just making those Fitbits, and I think it's still just the one-trick pony.
Yeah, Lisa wears hers though quite a bit, and I think it's.
I have one too, but I've traded and I got a Garmin one now. So I mean, and now you got your Apple. I mean, there's so much competition in this space. So I mean, they got a cool name, Fitbit, but I don't know, until they come up with something else. I think this all rallies to be sold.
Okay. I won't disagree with you on that.
Look, we're agreeing today. Look, I sleep a little bit. You're right. Maybe I am less argumentative. So, Mr. Spencer Israel, you can lead the way again. Right. Where would you like to go?
Let's go with yesterday. We had Express Scripts reporting a Q3 adjusted EPS of $2.43. That beat by a penny. Sales of $25.56 versus $25.03 billion. So beats on the top and bottom line by a hair for ESRX.
How many stocks are making new all-time highs?
What a weird looking chart. Do you see this chart?
It's just held up so well. Is this Express Scripts still? They're in a deal though, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Are they in a deal?
Yeah, but I don't know if that was.
I don't know what it is. Are they acquiring? I know they're in a deal with somebody. Yeah, and I mean, this is goldfish memory at its extreme here. I should know this. It's Cigna.
Yeah,
you're doing the Cigna deal, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to merge with Cigna, but both those stocks, I mean, have held up extremely well. Your HMOs here, like if you look at United Health, a lot of those have actually held up very well. So we always look, when we say everything's getting the beats. I mean, some of the pharma, some of the healthcare, some not the biotech. The biotech's been hit, but that's probably because it's biotech. But if you look at like big pharma, like Pfizer, you look at Merck. I mean, Merck made a new 52-week high yesterday. You look at Lilly's held up pretty well. You look at, UNH held up pretty well. You can look, WCG is another one in the sector. It's come off. CI, those held up very well. Express Scripts has held up very well, Joel. I mean, this got 100 on the mind.
I mean, well, it's Express Scripts is in that deal, so I don't, it's probably going to.
Well, it's CI, so I think it's like a merger.
Oh, you're talking CI?
It's a merger of the two.
Yeah, they're merger of like I don't know if it's merger of equals or whatever, but they're so, it's not a cash deal, is it? It's not cash.
No. So we'll trade.
It's all stock. So they're going to trade together.
I'm still waiting on what's the new healthcare policy coming out of Washington. What's that going to be? I'm still waiting on that. Remember, wasn't that one of that why a lot of these stocks got hit? Some of the pharma because of the new policies coming in. I don't think
We're still waiting.
We're still waiting on that. And it's been 2 years since the election. So sometimes you got to ignore the noise. I think these stocks got hit too when what was it? JP Morgan, Amazon, and Warren were putting something together. Those stocks took a hit then and rebounded here. So it doesn't look like much is changing in the healthcare sector.
Or sticking with the healthcare, let's go to TEVA from this morning. TEVA Pharmaceuticals is reporting Q3 EPS 68 cents versus a 54-cent estimate. Sales of 4.5 versus 4.53. Slight miss, but basically in line on the sales, and it beat on the EPS. They're raising their fiscal year EPS guidance from $2.55 on the low end of the range to $2.80 on the low end of the range, and they narrowed their sales guidance by a hair, but still in line. So EPS guidance beat and in line, and an EPS earnings beat for Teva.
I mean, this stock actually, just looking at the technicals, has been in the gutter. I mean, Warren bought it, $22? He's down on it here too. I don't know. This was one absolutely hated back in October 2017. We got down to $11, and then it's had the wicked rally, and Warren's behind it there now. It's getting a little pop here this morning, but
it's not Warren's pick. It's one of his assistants.
Oh, yeah, to say that it's his buddy's pick.
Yeah.
Is it Munger or who?
I don't know. Someone else, but it's not. Yeah. Warren said it a few times here.
We're like, my pick.
Yeah, that one's going down. That was
I definitely did not pick that one.
that was my assistant's. Nice pop here. You got pre-market high if you're trading this at 2161. I see like 3-4 highs right in that area, 2160 to 2180. So maybe use back over 22 if you want a clear breakout here. But the stock has, if they decide to turn around and whack it, they're a big institution. Lurking under $20. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lows right around 1960. And those are the kind of formations that our buddy, what's our buddy from the Gilmore report? What's his name again?
Gil Morales?
Yeah, Gil Morales. That's an institutional buyer right there. That's what it looks like.
All right, let's go to
morning. We got some good ones. Oh, you got Teva, you did already. What about Wayfair?
I was gonna go to Wayfair and Spotify. So we'll do Wayfair first. The Q3 EPS, $1.28 loss versus $1.09 loss estimate. So they lost more than they were expected to. Sales 1.7 versus 1.67 billion. So a slight beat on that. But Wayfair seems like this one is in the doghouse for sure.
Bouncing off the lows here. I saw this thing ticking. I saw 92. How low did we get, Joel?
Oh,
W.
I think that might be the low. 91.66.
So we are 6 points off the low. That's the good news. The bad news is you've taken out the technical psychological support of $100, and we say old support might become new resistance. So I think if you start popping up, I think 100 could be resistance. But these things are wild on earnings. You get these retailers, they're wild. Sometimes they can get the whole thing back. Sometimes they continue the merry parade down. I mean, the company is losing a ton of money still. And it's kind of, if we're still in this, risk-off environment, which we haven't determined if we're still in the risk-off environment or not. The last 3 days we've been risk-on. But, I mean, if we're still overall saying, well, the trend is still not your friend here, I think it's definitely still not your friend at Wayfair, which makes me more prone to sell the rips as opposed to buy the dips.
I tell you one thing, though, about this stock, and I don't know if it was last earnings report or one or two prior. It had something like this, a similar situation, and ended up going green on the day.
I thought I remember that too.
Yeah.
It did, didn't it? Was it this one?
I
think you're right, Joel. I think this thing
did. I can't remember what that report was, so I don't know if it's going to do it again.
I think it was last earnings. I think it was red and ended up going green. So people calling me here. They didn't like that comment. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm just your pre-market low here. You're $6 above that monthly support. Let's see here. Now I used 93.20 here ahead of that. That was your June low, pre-market low 91.66. So coming back on the upside since you made that low. 99.09 has been your rebound high. So use that as potential resistance, but this one can go anywhere.
Look at
Do
this.
we have a deal this morning? Like I was just looking, new field exploration, NFX is taking off and ECA going down. Is there a deal there? I didn't even notice that. I slept in. Yeah, I told you guys.
They had earnings. NFX did. That's that.
NFX's earnings?
Yep.
And what's ECA then? Just because it was two oil companies, one's going one way, one's going the other. What's ECA? Is that had earnings too?
Don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, give us those NFX numbers. Let me just go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you are. You're right. You're right on the money there. $5.5 billion deal.
Yeah. So here,
you're right on the money.
You know what? I hadn't even seen the headline, but just by the trading action, they was looking at my two filters, and the new filter was way up, ECA was way down. I was like, was there a deal? Because they were trading like there's a deal.
How did you see that? Because when it popped in your filters? Or
what's that?
You don't have.
I have filters for what's up and down. So NFX I was just hitting, and that's the alarms going off. NFX was like really going up, and well, that wasn't the alarms. That was somebody else that's sending me a note on it. But ECA going way down, NFX going way up. I mean, I see that, and I was like, those don't look. Those are two stocks in the same sector. Oil stocks typically don't move that much on numbers. That's why I was like, I think must be a deal. You can see how much they love, when somebody's paying a premium.
Yeah,
Canada down as much as NFX is up.
All right, let's see here. We had a take. We're crushing the low of the move at 973. We just had a spike low to 831, attempting to rebound here, 40 cents off that. For you're looking for monthly support here in ECA. Man, oh man, 879 here was your low in September 2016. A buck lower on that at 7.59. So there's your leader. Be following that NFX. Let's see here.
Is this cash deal, Spence? Do we got the details on this, or is it stock?
I don't have the details.
What a time to do a deal! Oh my lord, they're selling out for pittance here. This stock has come off $50, went down to 20. Man, this doesn't. What this tells me is that neither of these companies are doing very good, and they're finding any way to cut expenses.
All stock deal.
Yeah. Whew. I'd stay away from the combination of this one. Holy mackerel. These are oil stocks, and this is their performance when crude.
Yeah, but you want to know, Joel, you can talk like that, but oil's come off the highs, and you've got so many oil stocks that are absolutely in the gutter. So yes, Exxon's held up okay. Yes, Chevron's held up okay, but not even that great. I mean, start looking, at the carnage in the oil sector. We haven't talked about this. This has been like really, hit harder than the overall market. I mean, bring up some of these, smaller oil names. You can even bring up the XLE. XLE is significantly off the highs. We're talking about giving back the entire year of gains in the last month. Like XLE went from $78 down to 65. You can look XOP. The carnage is even worse, from 44 to 34. That's just a tidy 25% sell-off in the last 3 weeks. So oil stocks have been just killed. Halliburton, that's in the gutter again, although not as bad. Schlumberger is at $51. Cannot catch a bed. You can go ConocoPhillips is off. It's bounced a bit here, 80 to 66. Some of the, like I said, some of the big guns have held up okay, but oil stocks been killed.
Yeah, we've been talking about this Schlumberger, and it just never gets off the mat here. Even the oil did have that rally. You got an important area to keep an eye on here. Double bottom at 50, 80, 50, 82. You'll have to go back. Man, oh man, when's the last time this stock was under $50? Back there, 50.52 was your low during the financial crisis back in August, and then your next monthly low was 48.12. So pointed out here, I mean, does this make you want to whoop up on some Exxon Mobil here and some CVX? Or man, they got earnings tomorrow morning. Maybe if they get like some crazy like $3 or $4 pops, maybe it'd be some time. Maybe if Exxon Mobil gets up near 82. Maybe look for a lower risk short in this one to see if they follow some of these other oil companies on the way down.
Let's jump over here. More stocks in the news here this morning.
We had more earnings that we didn't get to. I wanted to look at Spotify. This is one of the first earnings report since they IPO'd. But this is interesting, this chart from after the bell yesterday. So I'll read you the number, or this morning. I'll read you the number. EPS is in euros, but just compare that to the estimates. So 23 euro gain versus 1.84 euro loss estimate in this, or that was in the same quarter last year. So on the year-over-year basis, they gained basically 1.5 euros there for the EPS. The sales was 1.35 billion euros versus 1.03 billion on a year-over-year basis. Their monthly active users for the quarter up 28%. They guided for the MAUs that it'll be for Q4. MAUs will be 24 to 25% gain on the year-over-year basis. So strong MAU growth there for Spotify, beating. Actually, I don't know if the estimates were there, but they grew dramatically. We'll say that grew dramatically on a year-over-year basis for EPS and sales for Spotify.
Was that good news you just gave us?
Yeah, that was butchered, but yes, good news.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You know why? High multiple stocks, and so stocks that don't make money. What did they make money? I missed that part.
Yes,
did they make money?
Yes, they made money.
How much was it?
0.23 euros.
0.23 euros. So not even a full. Okay, so what's that, like 30 cents? Anyways, okay, so stocks that so you're talking. Let's annualize that. I don't think make $1.50 or something.
Yeah.
Stocks got a P of 100. They don't like stocks with P as 100. Still right now, it's still out of favor. You had a 2-day pop here, gives it all back. That being said, let's look at the 2-day low, 131. That's where I would look for support. If it takes that out, I don't want to own it, but you could try it. If it gets down there 131, 132, try it. See if you can get a double bottom in there. If it not, then obviously you got where your stop out is.
I think you got some more work to do on the downside here. Sitting at the lows of the pre-market session, 134.54, managed to bounce to 136 even here. So man, oh man, I think if this one, how we talk about analysts chasing price and using that as a contrarian indicator here. Let me go to my trusty Benzinga Pro here and go to analyst ratings. I'm going to go to Spotify here and let's see if the street kind of like what they did to AMD. Oh yeah, look at this. Since July 27th, you had 1, 2, 3, 4 price target raises, all to 2.25, 156 to 200, 190 to 2.25. 200 to 2.25, 190 to 2.25, and then you just had one lowered their price target there. This was Buckingham. They maintained their buy. This was on August 11th. They lowered their target from 230 to 190, but street kind of caught. And if you go all the way back until let's see, May of 2018, buy, strong buy, overweight, buy. So you could be getting.
Well, how many stocks? I mean, there's so many stocks that look like that. Everything's buy. And the street always leans to the buy side. But I mean, we talked about this on Alibaba for a long time. I don't even know. Is there one sell on Alibaba? Does anybody have a sell on Alibaba? I mean, there's going to be some street adjusting price targets. They have to, and maybe potentially ratings too here eventually if it doesn't start to bounce back.
Can you show the Alibaba?
Wow.
Show Alibaba.
You got to see this, Dennis.
Bring this up. Show this on the screen here. I'm looking right now. What's this Alibaba ratings look like?
I got to pull my pro, so give me a second here.
He's pulling it up. I want to see this Alibaba.
The Alibaba ratings calendar that we have, and that's there is not a single.
Not one sell. Is that right? Nobody's got to sell on it? There's got to be somebody. Somebody's got to sell, right? I'm looking too.
Yes. One guy who his name is Ronnie Moss. He's
Ronnie.
He's got,
does.
Ronnie?
I forgot. Ronnie.
He's got a hold on it though. I think, doesn't he?
He's got. I think he's got a reduce on it.
Yeah, but
I have a hold.
You got a hold. Okay, so
I'm looking right now. I just brought it up. I see 50 ratings on Alibaba. 50. 49 buys and 1 hold and 0 sells.
Yep, I'm pulling up on the screen.
Is that what you have too?
I don't have the number of them, but
49 buys, 1 hold, and 0 sells.
I wish.
And the stock is down 30% the last 2.5 months. Tell me, everybody on the street's got this wrong right now. Yeah. So if you're look at it's all buys and overweight. Everybody.
Yeah,
all buys. Scroll through that.
Not one neutral, not one sell.
I have 1 hold. Maybe that's Ronnie Ma. Somebody's got a hold on it.
I think it's Ronnie.
Ronnie's got a hold on it. So congratulations, Ronnie. You're the only one that's actually not got this completely wrong. So think about that though. All these guys have buy ratings here. If they want to adjust, and eventually they're going to have, so one of two things have to happen. Alibaba, if it bounces back, these people will all be right. Otherwise, if it doesn't bounce back, all these guys get the buy ratings on them are eventually going to have to play catch up and either lower their price target, which it looks like a lot of them have done lately. A lot of them have lowered their price target. You can see a lot of lowers.
Yeah, they did.
But they still got all buys on it. So eventually you got to think there is somebody with a reduce. Who is that? No, it's Ronnie.
That was Ronnie.
Anyways, I guess reduce is a sell. So we'll give, so Ronnie's been on it. But anyways, I think there's going to be some, analysts that eventually have to downgrade this thing if it doesn't come back. And that's concerning.
Yeah, this one, Dennis, remember when they came out, and I think it was June of last year, and they came out, let me see if I can find it in my chart. They came out and the chief financial officer said that they were like going to double revenues. Remember that? And we're like, we should buy this stock. And
it's $130.
It gapped
120 that day.
Yeah. It went, it closed at 125.64. The next day it closed at 142.34. And then boom, ended up going over $200. It left a gap here between 135.21 and 125.91. So I've been waiting a year for that gap, over a year for that gap to be filled here. So if this thing prints 126, 125, it will fill the gap. But it's you talk about gaps in the market. There it is, man. All of it going back to June of last year when they made that surprise statement. So we'll see what happens. They got earnings on Friday.
That was June 8th. That was when June 8th was when the CFO said that they see revenue growth of 45 to 49% for the fiscal year 2018. Wow. So June,
this market's starting to roll over here. And, we just talked about, again, looking under the hood. And I just don't see why, I don't see the stocks that, we're hardly up on the Qs. Why? And I see the stocks up a lot more than the Qs. So I don't know if the stocks are going to roll over or the Qs are going to come up. S&Ps. I see a lot of stocks trading a lot higher here this morning. And I don't see the market following suit. So, this is the exact opposite day. Either the stocks got to come in or in the markets, it doesn't look like the SPYs and the Qs want to rally. So it looks like this market needs to come in a bit. There's at least these individual stocks that are trading higher, like Amazon is up significantly here. There's just a lot of stocks that are up a lot.
Yeah, I think some people are going to be pretty, like you got two major events coming. You have Apple after three major events. You got Apple earnings after the close. You have the jobs number on Friday, and you have the election on Tuesday. And if you just sat through that carnage from last week here and you're wanting to lighten up, here's a great opportunity, right? I mean, nice pop here, nowhere near that 50% retracer I'm talking, but people are just kind of, bringing it in. I shouldn't make investment decisions based on one company's report or the jobs number or the election, but you get those kind of sell-offs and nervousness in the markets. I'm not surprised. See some good two-way action today. I don't think we're going to.
I don't think we're going straight up here today. Nope. That's what I see a lot of stocks and a lot of people getting excited here again to come and buy stocks here this morning. I think those people might be wrong. So we'll see what happens here. But I think third day of this rally, I think it's time for a little breather here. So I think we could give this at least whatever we're up here back this morning. Let's see what happens if we can hold. And if I'm looking, let's go look at the SPs.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at the SPY, you want it to hold yesterday's low at 270.12. You start to get below that, then you're in a gap, and then you got room all the way down to like 260, 8. So you got like 20 handles of air in there. So that's where I'd be looking. Starts taking out 270, then you got 20 handles of air, or 20, 2 points on the SPY to 268. I don't know. I'm just not seeing, the market. The market's up here. I'm seeing the stocks even stronger than the market. I'm just saying it's not warranted how much some of these stocks are up this morning. No. I think it's just people too excited.
We should call it, we should make a new segment, looking under the hood.
I'm telling you, man, you can find some stuff that way. And you're starting to see the stocks come in here a little bit now since we've been talking about this. I mean, you get the Qs trading up, and maybe it was a bad close. The Qs are trading up 0.16%. Stocks like Square trading up 1.5%. You got stocks like Amazon trading up 1.5%. I mean, something gives. And they always have a higher beta, but it's 7-8 times what the market is right now. If you're just doing it on a percentage basis, these things are up too much, my opinion.
Your opinion?
At least it's just this morning. I'm just talking this morning, action for all you day traders out there.
14.5 is mid-range on the session. Pre-market low, 27.0550. That was right near your opening price at 27.06. BZ Tokyo here, who made the conversion from the YouTube chat into the pre-market chat, wants to talk about BG. And man, oh man, what was the news, Spencer? Can you news me on this one? Because it took a bungee cord leap yesterday, straight down. What was the news? Was it earnings?
Oh, they entered let's see, they had an AK. Oh, they're looking to form a strategic review committee to conduct the strategic review as they do.
Strategic review. That's not good. They need, I don't know. Dennis, you got to.
So when you do the strategic reviews, like a lot of times they're trying to say, people are speculating that they're going to do a spin off.
Well, they had the earnings yesterday morning. They had the earnings yesterday morning. Well, I don't know if that.
I don't follow the story whatsoever, but usually you see strategic reviews. So now they're backing off on the strategic review. Is that what's happening?
No.
I would say
I'm not following the story, so when I have no headlines, hard to let me just go look at the stuff myself.
Well,
so what's the headline? Read me the headline.
The headline was earnings yesterday, and then sometime during the day yesterday, they said that they or maybe it was in the report, they said they agreed to form a strategic review to conduct one. So
and it popped on the pre-market news and then tanked, is what. So
well, the market's saying there's no deal to be had here. The market is Mr. Market is often right. So, when they're going straight down at this stock, and I know Citigroup, I just read the headline, Citigroup was saying they could see a takeout value at 90. Well, the stock hasn't go from $68 down to like 61 if it's getting taken over at 90. Usually, the market is more in the know than even any analyst at Citigroup. So, if you're sticking around hoping for 90, I'll tell you the market thinks you're wrong.
And you'd go down $6 yesterday and you're getting a 19-cent bounce. That doesn't seem like anybody's rushing out here to buy the stock. I would just keep an eye here. Yesterday's low, 61.33. Boom. You had 3 lows right at that area in August. So I know you might be a little bit underwater on this one, but I would not want to be long this thing if it takes out 61.30. You also have monthly lows concurring at that level. Underneath that level, my psychological $60 level might hold, but your October 2016 level low was 58.5. So no bounce here. I mean, if people were like renewed as, oh yeah, this might get taken, this stock would be right back up 3.
That's what I'm saying. The market is not saying that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at here. Okay, so 843, we didn't give them balances. Let's look quickly here because, when we look under the hood, we really like to look at this. I see Square with a 63,000 share buy-in balance. I see Alibaba with a 74,000 share buy-in balance. Those are the two standouts. A lot of sell imbalances here this morning. Verizon, 103,000 to sell. AT&T, 229,000 to sell. GE doesn't have a sell imbalance, at least not yet, which is, not to say much because I think it's going back to single digits again today. It keeps bouncing out of there, but I think it's going back. Twitter, 46,000 to sell. Walmart, 35,000 to sell. They're pretty small again. Institutions not sure about this action, holding their orders close and not showing them. So we're not seeing that much from imbalance land, but this overall market is starting to look weak.
Yeah, it's starting to roll over. I was going to ask you about the sell imbalances there because that is around the time we got hit here. I still am looking at Twitter here at 34.77, Dennis, and I just don't know how I lost another steak dinner to you on this bet.
You got me on a couple though, by the skin of your teeth. So you've done this to me in the past there too. So, and when am I getting all these steak dinners? It's like 20 of them you owe me now, isn't it?
21 I think is what.
No, they're futures steak dinners. So the delivery of them is actually.
And you know what Fuzzy was telling me too. You owe him a lunch or something, Mr. Fuzzy. Is it Fuzzy? Did you owe a lunch too?
Yeah.
For another bet?
Oh yeah.
You're dead some lunches and steak dinners there, buddy.
But Stock Hunter, 2 people owe me steak dinners in the chat.
So Fuzzy.
You can't be doing this.
Stock Hunter admits that he owes you a steak dinner. or owes me a steak dinner.
I owe the steak dinner.
Didn't you ever do like take geometry and like the transitive property and stuff like that? Is it the transitive property where you can?
Yeah, I don't know where it's going on this tangent
Yes,
here.
if you owe someone, if he owes you, and
We need the aviator one. We got to do a margin call here on Joel. You're right. Margin call on the dinner bets, a margin call on the lunch bets. You owe Fuzzy a lunch. You owe me like 25 steak dinners. We're hungry.
What about the dinner I cooked for you on Saturday? That counts as one steak. Well, and actually Spencer and Brett came, so that's three.
True. You did make me a dinner on Saturday. It was a pretty nice one. And there was some meat involved there too. So maybe we can give you one.
Count it.
And Spencer and Brett came, so that's
Spencer
three.
got it. He was there as well. He got that steak dinner. He didn't lose a bet. So I don't know if it counts.
Counts for me.
Counts for me. Qs are going red.
Yeah,
Qs are going red here, and the market is still. I don't know what this market is thinking here, but it's holding up fairly well, and I don't know why. I haven't figured this one out yet. But I mean, not saying the stocks. Like a ton of stocks are green. There's a lot of stocks that are green on my screen, and some of them maybe just haven't traded, but there's a lot of stocks that are still trading higher here, and this market is rolling over. So,
you want to get out?
Anyways, I don't know what that means, but it's looking like one of the two things got out. These stocks have got to come in a little bit, or these Qs and SPYs got to go up. And I think the stocks are starting to leak. Like when we came in, Amazon was up 30. It's only up 20 now. So you're seeing a little bit of weakness. Apple always shows a little strength ahead of the report.
Yep.
Not surprising, it's up a little bit there. Let's go to Apple because it had a wicked rally here. I still own it in my long-term investment portfolio, but big rally here. You're not far off the highs. I'm going to tell you though, guys, Apple's got to say something or blow it away to go higher here because this stock has held up for a long time. If they say anything of weakness, it will get hit and the overall market will get hit. Probably nothing matters more than Apple earnings tonight.
Did you play the pre-earnings run on this one, or was there? I know you like to buy. Have you gotten off that a little? Your game on that because of the market environment, you know?
Yeah, a lot of this traditional. This is a great segue. We should do like something like this. A lot of my traditional strategies, like the 2-day move, the pre-earnings runs and stuff. When the market goes like crazy like this, you got to back off of some of that stuff because the market's just moving around with volatility and nobody's, buying stocks, as much ahead. It would have worked in this case on an Apple, but I think it's more coincidence than anything because the market had a wicked 2 days. But when you're seeing, crazy volatility and the VIX popping up over 20, some of those traditional strategies that you do aren't going to work as well. So I go right when the market's trading like this, I go right back into the, the arbitrage stuff, the stuff where, some stocks are up too much, some stocks are down too much. That stuff works better, and I call it fair value. It's from Don Bright. So that stuff works better in this environment than, some of the other traditional stuff. But when the market just slowly going that grind higher that we saw for years, I mean, there's always seems like there's moves buying Apple ahead of an event, ahead of an earnings report, buying stocks ahead of earnings reports on expectations and selling them. Not saying hold them through the report, but selling them like right before it. So 2-day move ahead of the report, sell it right before the report so you take out the risk of the event, and then, you go from there.
I just real quick here, probably sound like a broken record here, but let me figure out the 50% retracement in Apple here, which did have some. Just 220. I can't get 220 out of my head here, Dennis. That represents the 50% retracement from 233.47 to 206.09. You had a bunch of highs in that area too. This was going back earlier in the month to 1969, to 2019, to 21.38. So, man, oh man, I think some people would be taking a little bit of money off the table ahead of the report. I don't see this thing going 221, 222, 225 today. Longer per, holding 220. We didn't close above it yesterday, 220.45. So I'm gonna jot that one down so I keep an eye on it. 220 holds that, going back up to new all-time highs. Below that, you had a nice run off the last earnings report, and you created a gap in the market. And that gap on the dailies is under 200. You got a big old gap to fill between 192.14 and 197.31. That was from its last earnings report, gained $11 the day after the report, and really never traded below that closing price. A little bit the following day here. So I'm worried. It's think takes out that low from Wednesday. I see this thing under 200, perhaps in the lower 190s.
244 stocks reporting here today. Many of them are tonight. We've had obviously already probably about 100 report this morning there. But, we got Shake Shack, we got Starbucks reporting, we got Wynn Resorts, we got Weight Watchers. Always funny when Shake Shack and Weight Watchers reports together. There's just a ton of stocks here. This is really probably for numbers. This might be the biggest day.
It is. Brent, is it is the biggest day for stocks? What you said, 353?
Yeah, if it's not the biggest, it's like top 2 or 3 of the quarter.
300. How many stocks report today?
I don't think it's quite that many. I think
I had 244.
That sounds right.
Everybody, it's never get the numbers perfect.
That sounds right. And you just mentioned a couple. Not even including like some of the big ones you got tomorrow morning. Alibaba, which is mentioned in the chat. We talked about Seagate, Chevron, ExxonMobil tomorrow. But yes, a lot of big ones today after the close. It is maybe the biggest close.
361.
361 today.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, and you will see Brett banging those out after the open. He'll get all 300. Well, there was 170 odd before, and then 170 or 180 something after. But we'll see. It's a big day, but nothing will be bigger than that.
Hey, there was one in the chat I wanted to mention. Someone who now mentioned Mary in the YouTube chat mentioned NYT and New York Times hanging out at 30 this morning. Hasn't been there since 2005.
What happened?
They had earnings.
Somebody buy them?
No earnings. Calm yourself. Just earnings. 15 cents versus 11 cents on the EPS. Sales of $417 versus $408 million. And if you bought this stock,
I thought this was the failing New York Times, according to Mr. Trump.
If you bought this one in 2006, you got your money back.
This stock's been a monster here. What is Trump talking about? The failing New York Times? This is like the flying New York Times. Holy cow! New York Times doing everything right here or there. I know a couple reporters over there, so good job over there, New York Times. I mean, definitely not. Trump's got this wrong when he says failing New York Times. Unbelievable stock performance last couple of years.
Just broke out here, up 330. What's it? Your pre-market high? Let's see how high we got in this issue.
33?
No. The pre-market high is at 26.64. Bunch of highs. Oh well, no, I'm looking. I gotta read.
33.65 is what I got.
Okay. You know what? My chart got off here. I'm just looking at the regular session. Hold on, just 1 second, and boom, it did. Wow, spiked up to. You're right, Spencer. I stand corrected. 33.65. I'll go to the monthlies on this one. And we haven't been up to $30. We had a high at $29.90 in December or October of 2005. So this, I still call 30 major resistance. I mean, if you think you're going to go up and test this pre-market high, good luck. The high above that is 35. But man, I'm not going to make a wager on this one, Dennis. But I think this stock has a hard time closing over $30.
No comment. I can't trade New York Times. I didn't even know it was $30. I haven't looked at it for so long.
Okay.
We do have a potential deal on the table here for ACHC, and this was reported by the New York Post last night. I don't know if we've got a final deal here or not, but it was KKR was getting close to buying them. This had been rumored here for a while. Lee Ring saying they could get 47 to 54. I don't think we've got an actual. I think it's still just the New York Post rumor from last night that's saying KKR is close to buying them. ACHC is trading up 5% here in the pre-market. I mean, deals on the table here, potentially. This was a company that actually, I believe, took themselves off the market and then put themselves back on the market when everything started to go south. The market started to go south. The stocks started to go south. They're like, yeah, we're for sale again.
Yeah.
And the stocks come back up. So it does look like there's going to be an acquirer here eventually. At least that's what the New York Post is saying.
Just go with the news on that one. I mean, if it's getting taken out at 47, you certainly don't want to be selling it here at 43.75. Once again, you have a situation where, if there's a deal, there's a deal. The longer it takes for no deal to come about, expect this to back and fill here on the monthly charts. You did have some good resistance at 42.50. So if you could pull back to that area, a little bit less risk of a buy. You also had 42 even, really kept the lead on things over the last 3 sessions.
And then jump over to Gunmaker. We're back to earnings all over the place here today. RGR is down significantly here, though, and I want to give the earnings report for this because it's down 11% here in the pre-market. They reported last night. Later last night, as after 6 o'clock, RGR numbers.
Yeah, it was late last night. The Q3 EPS, 52 cents, down by a penny on a year-over-year basis. You don't want to see year-over-year drops. Sales 114.9 versus a $129 million estimate. So a big sales miss and dropping on a year-over-year basis for the EPS. Neither of those are good signs for RGR.
$53. It's very wide. It's $50 to $55 right now. 5-point spread in the pre-market. So you can say we're still in the price discovery mode here. I'll just say I looked at the August low, and that's right around that same area, that 52.75. Let's see what or 52.35. Let's see what it does there. But this stock can be very wild on earnings. So if it takes that out, could see 50. But very wild here in the pre-market. Just thin, very thin.
Yeah, it's a thin stock here. Your August low was 52.35, so we'll see what happens there. Another monthly low back in December. This traded 50.65. So tough sledding here. And then did the other Gunmaker report? Or I thought I saw one. No, what is that?
It's AOBC, and I don't believe they have reported.
No, they haven't. But
no, there's a sympathy move here, and it's trading under
Not
13.
much.
It was trading 13 last night. It got 13.30, so offered 13.28. So it's going to get hit on this. I mean, when RGO, these two move in tandem together to a certain extent.
All right, S&P's up 5 at 27.16, hovering over mid-range on the session at 14.50. So calming down here a little bit.
We got 3 minutes.
Let's go.
The banks are strong here this one. So let's go back to this TLT thing and just talk to about the day traders out there for today's trading. With TLT weak and down 70 cents here, it is a pretty weak day for TLT. And you got to think automatically that's not good for utility stocks. It's not good for some of the defensive names, but also that is good for the banks. And the banks have had a pretty good rally here. Not huge, but in the last couple of days, they've shown some life. They're showing life here again this morning. So just keep an eye on that TLT. Obviously, if that starts to come back up, the banks will show weakness. But the banks, again, are moving over the overall market as well. So you have two factors influencing them. Other things being equal, when the market isn't so volatile, you'll see the banks trade more closely inverted with the TLT than closely correlated with the S&P. Right now, the correlation with the S&P is stronger than the TLT negative correlation. So just because TLT is very negative doesn't necessarily mean the bank's going to have a super strong day. They are having a good day in the open. But if the S&P start to roll over, which I think they might, if the S&P start to roll over, that will drag the banks down too. So just be cautious if you're trading the banks right now from the long side, saying TLT is down, bank's going to be up. Because again, a lot of those other correlations break down. Everything starts to move with the overall market when the VIX is as volatile as it has been.
All right, what do we got? 2 minutes here, Spencer? Is there any big earnings that we didn't cover?
Well, there was one that I thought was interesting only for you, Joel. Tempur-Pedic, and I learned this yesterday. I was listening to a podcast with the founder of Tempur-Pedic and Bobby Trussell. They had earnings yesterday. The founder of Tempur-Pedic, I'm surprised you haven't owned this, or maybe you don't know this already. Maybe you do know this already. He was in the horse racing business. He owned horses. And he went broke in the early 90s when the horse racing industry sort of contracted a little bit. Yeah. And then he went on to found Tempur-Pedic. So you need to buy this stock now because of that.
What's his name? Do you have his name?
Bobby Trussell.
Bobby
Trussell.
Oh man, these mattress stocks are tough. I think C reported today too. Not much trading going on here. A couple thousand shares. They just ticked it at 41.50.
Down 10%.
Yeah, down 10% here. I'm looking. We'll see what happens at 41.10. That's my level of interest. That's your April 30th low. Dennis, any comments on the mattress stocks?
What I'll just say is, what a ridiculous pop this got. When they announced Mattress Firm announced its bankruptcy, I believe this was at the beginning of October. This went from 50 to 55 that day. That held up for 2 days. I mean, when you see a stock that's in the gutter get a pop because one of their competitors officially, everybody knew Mattress Firm wasn't going to survive. So they declare the official bankruptcy and they pop this 10%. What a gift that was for the longs. And if you were on it selling it that day, congratulations. You're being very rewarded there. Obviously, here we are a month later and it's down to 41. Stock's in trouble. I mean, this trend is not your friend here. I don't know if people are, sleeping on mattresses anymore. I still sleep on a mattress. I believe I actually have a Tempur whatever. I believe I have
You
a
don't
ceiling
even know
mattress.
it. Whatever.
I don't know what my mattress is. Anyways, I don't look under the sheets. Anyways, it's a Sealy mattress there, I believe I have. But regardless, this trend is not your friend, and something else is going on here. Absolutely critical if the stock holds 40. We got down in April of 2017 to 39.57. We snuck back down to that area, 41.10. We're coming back down here for the third time. Third time's usually a charm to take it out. So I'm a seller of all rallies in Tempur-Pedic.
Real quick, let's we haven't talked pot stocks in a while here.
Oh, they've had nice couple day pop.
Yeah, and
really
I think you were fishing around in those the other day.
I tried. You know
Oh,
how
yeah.
close I got to buying Aurora Cannabis? So I was buying it in Canada. I put my order at like 710, and this is in Canadian funds. It got down to 730 in Canada that day. That would have been the equivalent of the 539 low there. So I almost got it. I almost bought the exact bottom, but I didn't quite get it. So anyways, you know what? And I was long NBEV coming into today because I was looking for a 2-day move. I sold it already because it's up 6% here in the pre-market. So it was a good pop. So I was long NBEV overnight.
Nice.
But yeah, I had a little quick 7% pop in it. But anyways, I come in and out of these things every once in a while. I was saying 2 days ago, valuations are starting to get not so crazy. And, that day was the reversal day, and they turned around and started going up. So I hope they come back in a little bit, because actually valuations on some of these things aren't like they were before. CGC's come off $20. Afria, ACB got overcut in half. I mean, from a valuation perspective, some of these things actually are starting to look okay.
And just be aware, on the rebounds here, be careful of overhead supply as well. A lot of people got caught in this move from 59.25. You hit a low of 31.82.20. I mean, if this gets saying anywhere near $45, that'd be your 50% retracement. On the dailies, if you get up to 40, I'd use that as a good resistance point today. Your 3-day high, 39.70. Your 4-day high, 40.37. Spencer, you want to wrap things up in a preview of the final show?
Well, on tomorrow's show, we're going to be joined by Jeremy Schwartz. He's the director of research at Wisdom Tree. So we'll talk any macro. He's good with anything there, so we can talk about that. Anything you want tomorrow with Jeremy Schwartz at 8:35. But if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch our podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, or Google Play. Thanks to all of you who joined us today in our chats, both on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. Please remember that all the information from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. With that said, hope everyone had... Oh, Joel's telling me to hold on.
Dennis, you're going to love this. This is just coming from the New York Post. Alec Mueller, a junior at Ashland University in Ohio, is so good at Fortnite that he landed a scholarship to play it on his college eSports team.
There we go.
Remember you were talking about?
All right, bye.
I'm telling you, esports is for real still.
Right,
and I
I'm
think,
switched.
I nibbled yesterday. I did buy a little bit of EA. I'm still like the Take-Two has been the best of breed, and it's held up so well. But just looking at the pullback here, long-term investment portfolio there, stock is 60 points off its highs. I still think it's for real, the esports thing. So I know this is completely counter trend, completely contrarian call. I stuck it in a little bit back in the retirement account, not going to look at it because I think the esports thing is for real.
Take that pen and pencil and crayons out of Spencer's hand that he had during the pre-market show and get him on Fortnite. You got to get him a scholarship.
Spencer, you get your scholarship to somewhere here.
All right. On that note, we will see everyone on Friday. Have a good one, folks.